years ago when we met when our children were small and we've all grown up together. More recently, Abby's encouraged me to go to town council and to do quite a number of things that I've always aspired to do that I didn't really have the confidence to do. I suppose really I'm kind of returning my favour supporting her as I do now. I like what she stands for. I like the fact that she hears what people say. And that's really all I've got to say. I didn't have any scripts or anything that I wanted to say about Abby, but I just wanted to wish her all the best. And more, which we're going to put a video on now, which is her election party broadcast. And every time I keep seeing something, I just think, yeah, that just says it all. And I just keep liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, didn't you? We just played this and that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So we just released this today. We just finished it today.
Parties are too concerned with holding on to power rather than working together to make long-term plans. Their behaviour is not acceptable. The system is broken, and we no longer vote for who we believe in. We need to collaborate to face our challenges to deliver a fairer society. I break the mould of our traditional MP. I am not constrained by any political party. I have been a police officer and have experience across the health and social care sector. Since January 2023, I have door-knocked 22,000 homes and visited every parish council. I know what people are saying. I have been instrumental in removing destructive party politics in local government so we can work together. My motives are for our communities and not for personal gain. There is a better way. I will challenge toxic cultures in Parliament. I will speak the truth and vote with integrity. I am Abby McGuire, and I am here to win. I am from Somerset and live in Shepton Mallet. My election will make history. We can achieve this together. Your vote holds power. This is the start of something new. Vote people before party. Abby McGuire, Independent. And I am here to win. I am from Somerset and live in Shepton.
Brilliant.
I can't really take credit for that. Obviously, it's the exchange of crack was very, very well, yeah. But we are really proud of it. It's taken us, well, probably a year and a half to do it, collecting footage and all the rest of it. So thanks for doing that. That was a bit unimpressive. So yes, my name is Abby. I'm running as an independent in the general election that's happening on the 4th of July. That means I'm not in a political party. I've never been in a political party. I'm completely independent. But I am an independent council with Becky. I was elected onto our council in 2019. And we went in really with the sole purpose to remove party politics because they were very present on our town council. I don't know if you are aware. And it actually prevented them from doing anything. So I think for maybe 30 plus years, we had Labour, Liberal Democrats and Conservative, and they were already made groupings, and they just couldn't even speak to each other actually. It was really quite disastrous. And I think on the occasion, the police have been called to a meeting. So you hear all these stories, but they were actually true. So we got there, and it was, the atmosphere was completely tangible. You could feel it, and it was so difficult to navigate our way through because actually we came onto the town council to just get things done. That's what we wanted to do. It's a voluntary role on the town council. You're not paid to be there, but you are elected and you are there to serve the town. And you do spend, a precept because you pay into it with your taxpayers' money. So it's quite important. And we just really spent this is before Becky joined, so you can see my process, but we spent about the next 2 years just sort of saying continuously, this is not appropriate, this is not appropriate, this is not appropriate. We actually need to find a way to work together so we can just get things done in our town. And I think we were very successful. So from about 2021, when did you come on 2021?
Yeah, I think it was. And famously, female councillors said to me when I first joined, it's not all unicorns and rainbows, you know. And I was thinking, well, what do you mean by that? But like, yes, and I thought, well, it can be if everybody speaks and works together, can't it? Does it have to be have such distant sense and such unrest? It's a really good point, because actually we decided in the end that it wasn't necessary, and it was really preventing us from doing anything. So
I think around the time you came in,
that's a shame, isn't it?
yeah, and it's so off-putting, isn't it?
It only takes a couple to bully people, you know, normal people. It's not allowed.
And those characters are strong.
Yeah.
And some of those characters are actually still there, but it's more a case of just saying, actually, that behaviour that you're displaying is not appropriate.
I think that's the point, is it obviously works in like the town council scenario. So if you do that on a bigger level, it tempers all that kind of personality and takes it out of it, and that's
Yes, because you're using actually by example as well. They're not, but we were in the minority on got this, and some three of us actually in councillors, so it did take a while to, but then when Becky came in, it was sort of 50-50 split, and the atmosphere did really start to change. And for example, some of the positive things we've done is like build a play park in Collet Park, which has been talked about for 30 years and no one has ever done it. And then the money was sitting there, it was ready to go. So we said, right, this is what we want to do, this is what the town wants. So we built the play park. So it really, that whole process was really eye-opening for me in the political hemisphere, I suppose, because I realised how important politics was and how important healthy politics is actually to get stuff done. So through that process, I started to look more at Parliament, and I realised, to my horror, that the same behaviours were in Parliament, exactly the same. You've just got 2 or 3 or 4 political parties all at war with each other, and it prevents them from doing anything meaningful. But now we're in a situation where our services are really suffering to a great extent, and I felt in January 2023 that it was absolutely essential that I ran as an independent in the general election for those reasons. Like December 2022, January 2023? A year and a half ago, yeah. So I started campaigning straight away. I went to, so the constituency is massive. It goes from Yatton, which is in North Somerset, to Shepton Mallet, which we're on this side of it, and then sort of Blagden down to Brenton, which is past Street. So it's absolutely massive. When I started, they hadn't actually set the boundaries, so I had to figure out all of those boundaries. And then I went to every parish council. And of course, because there's this mentality around politics, they were a bit like, the parish councils were a bit like, oh, we don't really want you to come. And I'm like, I just want to come to listen to your meeting and to hear what's important to your community. So there was this whole, like, had to break down this stuff, you know. But I did do that. Eventually I managed to get to all of them. And some of them were very welcoming. And then in October last year, I realised that if I really had a chance of getting the seat, I needed to meet people face to face, because there are 70,000 people in this constituency, there are 44,000 homes, 44,000 actually. So I made a decision to do my job as a deputy research investigator at the University of Bath and go join them full time. So that is what I've been doing for the last 8 months. I've done 22,500 properties, so I've actually done half of the constituency. And it's been really enlightening, because it's enabled me to hear very clearly from the electorate about how they think and feel about life, about politics, about their communities, about the issues in all of those communities. So it's actually been an honour for me to do it, and I'm really grateful that we were in a position to do it. I've got a very supportive husband who's a yeah, and now we're here, and so this part of these sessions it's just it's a little opportunity, especially if I haven't warmed you, for you to come and ask some questions that might be burning a hole in your head, and I will try and answer them as best I can. So yes, that is why we are running these sessions. So, There's no passion about this, so
Yeah,
it's like,
What did your role as do you say diversity?
I was dignity and respect investigator.
What's
So-
it got to do?
Yes, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? I've been a police officer, so a dignity and respect, so I have all of those skills, and a dignity and respect investigator at university was basically investigating things like student disciplinary things, so like rape or sexual offences and drugs and assaults. So that's what my job was.
Okay, next question.
So, where an MP,
Yeah.
a lot of us are here and we're ready.
Oh, okay. He's so nice though, Joe.
It's not,
It's not what it was.
what I'm interested in is, if you get this job.
Yeah.
We would elect you a messenger, or spokesperson.
That's right.
For our area, and our area is very different from Henton or Blackburn.
Yeah.
Shepton Mallet.
But even Shepton Mallet.
So we rely on you to continue to be our representative at that level. For the needs of us in this town.
And it's such a great question, thanks for asking it. I live in Shepton Mallet, so I don't know. It does help a lot. I mean, I've lived here for 15 years, so I know it really well. I raised my children here, they are 15 and 12. But I'm from Somerset originally. I come from Wellington and Somerset, so down south. And the answer is yes, I can effectively represent everybody. And my greatest ability to do that is because I am independent actually. Because when you're in a political party, you are bound by your party politics, and it actually gags you from doing the job effectively. And there are two main roles to being an MP. The first is, well, they have three if you're in a political party. First of all, you have to do things for your political party. I don't have to do any of that because I'm not in one. The next one is that you have to scrutinise and form legislation in Parliament. And the other is to serve a constituency in the constituency. I don't believe you can do either of those parts of the role effectively if you're in a party, because they don't scrutinise, they don't debate. They are told by their whip how to vote, and then they vote. So they don't even look at the legislation in front of them.
Yeah, that's the entire issue with what disasters in the past, on a
Yes.
personal level, people that I know.
Yes.
I think there's only
It's not an okay way to do things. It's not an okay way to do politics. Politics is all about how we live our lives together. And we have different, well, we actually, but it is just about hearing the different voices and then debate and then reaching a conclusion. If you don't have that healthy debate, you're not going to get very good results. And then the second, yes.
Can I just say it's also about somebody being accessible,
So that you're able to put your words in.
so you let someone to see, and the people get those other ones in the last year.
That is our, that's been our, you send an email and you don't get back to
This
them.
is, you know, in the last 3 years.
So the second part of the job is to be represent constituents. I don't think people in the political party can do that part either, actually, because if you write to your MP about whatever issue it is, you tend to just get a party line response.
If you get one at all.
If you get one at all. So, and also because they have a political party, they don't actually need to try very hard. So, for example, this is what's happened to me today. They let a candidate in 2 weeks ago from London. She's already been on the course list. I'm getting into the BBC customers last week, whereas I had a whole different experience getting on the. She's got connections everywhere, and she's just got an endorsement from Rory Stewart, who's got a massive influence in the political hemisphere. So I have to work for it, but through I like working, so it's no problem for me. But also that work has helped me to engage with everybody. So I know where all the issues are. I know the constituency inside and out. I can list all the 51 places to you right now. They are so ingrained in my head. And I've been everywhere, and I've looked everywhere. I know all the clerks, I know all the councillors. I know all the North Somerset councillors because there's straddles with 2 unitary authorities. I know all the Somerset councillors. And they are from all political parties. They're Green, they're Independent, they're Labour, they're Conservative, and they're Liberal Democrats. And I will cross-party work. So I'm probably the most effective, authentic representation you will ever get.
Good answer.
John.
So if you're going to have a local office here,
Yeah.
Do you have an idea where that would be?
This came up the other night actually, just about how I would conduct my constituency work. I haven't worked it out, completely honest with you. I would just continue with the work that I've been doing.
Mobile surgery is such a big area.
No, I think most of it is
Off somewhere.
I think most of it is about connecting in with those parishes already, and I've already done that work, so I already know all of the parish councils, for example. And it might be that I just do pop-ups, for example, or the geographical area is absolutely huge. And I've seen Tessa Hunt's pledge, and I don't think it's sustainable. I think she's going to spend all her time just.
I mean, I would say that much correspondence happens via social media, but you would be happy to meet them.
But there's so many people in this constituency who don't have the internet, who don't use a computer. So this is why I need the parish councils, because they can put notifications up on their little parish boards, and they can say, Abby's going to be here between 10 and 12 on, the 6th of January, or whatever it is. Or they have, I know where, for example, I know where they have all of their community meets, so I can definitely go in and meet with the communities. In terms of an office, I've definitely not worked. I've got to get in first. Next question. Yes.
Hi there. I was just, if you're elected, how do you intend to tackle
Gosh, that's a hard question. So I've been a police officer, so I really am aware of like the whole drug scene and all of the issues that come with it. I've also worked in homelessness, so I set up a homeless project in Wales, and I also worked in our refugee project in Stratton. So I am really aware just of all the issues that are attached to that. For me, it is about working with the institutions that are already in place. So the Police and Crime Commissioner and our local police force and our local PCSOs. I mean, if you deal with these issues as a community, you are much more likely to make ground with it. So it would be about working in partnership with all those people.
How would you feel about reopening more community centres and so that you could have more drug drop-in centres and more cocaine anonymous, more AA, more NA, more support, just generally more support.
Yeah. So my whole approach, because of my experience and everywhere that I've been, is all about proactive work rather than reactive. I think we're very reactive in all of our service provision at the moment. It's not good because we pick up something that's not to hear, we much better than just, we know who these families are, we know who we need to support early on, so we just get in early. It's definitely something that we need to work on. But again, if we're talking about that, we have to cross-party work in Parliament where we are debating healthily so we can make these proactive service provision right at the start, but we can only do it with a collaborative government. We can't do it with all the government because we don't get anything done basically.
Unfortunately, mine is two questions to interest. If you're elected, how are you going to go about re-establishing some kind of support for children that are in kinship care?
Yes.
They are not recognised as normal foster carers. They are sidelined for support, for finance, for everything. So we're still fighting to try and get some kind of recognition for them. And the other one is the leisure centre. What leisure facilities has Shepton got for the youngsters that's coming up?
Yeah.
We've got no leisure facilities whatsoever.
So I've been working with the leisure centre since that happened. It's something that I'm very passionate about. Unfortunately, two of our key points in this area actually endorsed the closure of our leisure centre, which has made it a bit of an uphill struggle for us. We definitely need to look at it. One of the first things I would do is to book a meeting with Mass Terry and talk about the leisure centre. That would be one of the first things I'll do in relation to the leisure centre. In relation to kinship, again, I think it's we put people, that and everything else that we do, we put people through such a battle. So if you've got a child with special educational needs, for example, you're just set up for a 2-year battle to get an EHCP, to get the provision in place, and it leaves people absolutely exhausted, and it doesn't recognise what people are doing for their families, for their extended families, for situations like that. And I think just opening our eyes to that for a start, and then leading into what we can do to support people generally, I think would be a really good thing. I don't think it's done. I think people are left out in the middle all the time, and I don't think it's healthy. And I think this is why we've got a rising anxiety in our communities because of things like that. So again, it's slightly working.
Our council tax is ridiculously high. Is there anything you can influence on that?
So funny, right? Because people love to talk about tax. They love it, and I'd rather talk about the budget. So before we talk about tax and how we raise tax or cut tax or do whatever we're doing to tax, let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about how we're actually spending our money, because there is a lot of money that is wasted. And I can list 10 examples to you now that I know about in our budget that is wasting money. So I would rather get our sums right, first of all, before we start talking about how we're going to tax people. And I think if we took it back again to that stage, we would be making better decisions. There is an awful lot of waste. There is an awful lot of waste.
Can you give us an example?
Rwanda deal. The Rwanda deal is a great example. HS2 is another one. I was talking to my friend Peter. I don't know who here is registered for a postal vote, but last week you got a piece of paper to tell you you were going to get your postal vote in 5 days' time. I worked out how much that cost. Do you know how much that cost the country to implement? 6.5 million. What a waste of money. What a waste of money.
In this election, there's only really one thing that everyone's thinking about.
Yeah.
Immigration.
Yeah.
Be it illegal or legal.
Yeah.
Now, most people, they won't say it, would like some sort of cap upon it, and the ones that turn up illegal can be set back. Because if you go to the country illegally, you have no right to be here in the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
But under European legislation, which we're still, for some reason, grasping to, we've opened the borders to anybody. Now that's causing problems throughout the entire system. More people come in, National Health Service, housing, education, everything else. What's your view upon either capping it or deporting those that shouldn't be here?
So I always think the broad issue on the broader lens on it again with immigration, because it does come up a lot. You're right. We issue 1.4 million visas a year in this country, so that's legal migration. They are people who we are promoting to come into our country, and basically, I will come on to the boats. So legal migration is basically propping up our health and social care sector, and it's also international students and their dependents. So that's 40 million people here in 20 years' time. In terms of legal migration, that is 30,000 people. It's actually 2% of our overall net figure. It's very, very low. But what's happening with it is that we have sensationalised it, first of all, in the media. We made it a big deal. And that is not healthy for our society. But also, we're not processing those people. So we are sticking them in the hotel and paying their benefits or whatever that the people feel, or they feel, is that happening? We can't access housing. And, we can't afford to keep our home, and we now are using the food bank. All of these issues are recognised in them. So if we process them in the normal way, we have got policies and procedures already in place to deal with asylum seekers, but we are not using them because we are leaning heavily on the Rwanda deal, where we will just export everybody off to Rwanda. So if we actually just use, like you quite rightly identified, the legislation that we already have in place, it would keep it moving. But at the moment, there's a block because we are not processing people. And I don't know how long it's probably been 2+ years where we haven't been doing that. So we actually need to just get that process moving again. I don't know why we're not doing it.
But the figure that you quoted is incorrect. Sometimes they're coming across at 600 to 800 a day. That is a massive number. The next few
22
weeks,
to 23 figure was 30,000.
yeah, the next few weeks, while the weather's nice, there is a massive number on the Calais coast waiting to come across as fast as the dinghies can get across. People don't like to talk about it, but they're coming here and they're just disappearing.
Yeah.
They run across the beaches, and people are sitting there watching them shoot past. Their documents have been dumped in the channel,
Yeah.
so they've disappeared. So they can't be registered because they don't exist.
Yeah. Immigration, illegal immigration has, even when I was a police officer, people were coming in on lorries and stuff. It's always been an issue. It's always been an issue. And we have processes that we have already in place to deal with it. But from my understanding is, at the moment, we are not using those processes. And I can't answer the question why. I'm not in the government, so I don't know. I think we just need to utilise the legislation that we already have.
Does that answer your question?
What's
talk
your
about
personal view upon it, though? Would you like it personally, because you're standing as our.
My personal
Yeah,
view
would you
is,
say we should be poor, or should we open, let anyone come in, straight from get papers and stay?
so my personal view, again, it goes back to my underlying narrative, is that we need to debate this in a healthy way and find the way forward, which we do not do. There's a lot of division, there's a lot of divisiveness, then the media take it and they blow it all out of proportion and they raise the public's anxiety around it. And I don't think any of that is helpful. I think all of that needs to disappear. I think there needs to be support between the media and the politicians. I don't think that happens either. But in order to deal with this problem, we need a cross-party, collaborative government or parliament that is working together to find solutions, which is what I'm listening to.
You did say it's a world. That's not a media that's causing the problem, because this is a world issue.
Yeah,
Immigration.
yeah.
Even immigration, anyway, some countries want to them the illegal ones, and that's a problem all over Europe, all over the world. You just have to look in America, in Mexico, Japan, and so on. It's not a problem that's going to be resolved in the UK. And
It's not a
the
problem.
only reason I would solve the problem, you've got to solve the problems in their country. They've got to be financed, they've got to be helped, and then nobody would be that keen to hear that you had a good system. Like say I left this country 30 years ago because Margaret Thatcher was in power and she was trying to ruin the country. So I left the country for that reason.
Yeah.
That's what happens. People leave and things like
Observation that I would have of our parliament and our government to go and involve ourselves in wars that have nothing to do with us. Those wars have refugees and asylum seekers. They will come to our country because we have involved themselves in their political business. So again, it's just a narrative that we're sowing out across the world. And I all the time I just have questions over why are we doing these things? Is it helpful to that country? Is it helpful to our country? Is it helpful as a world picture? I do think we make a lot of bad decisions, definitely internationally. Yeah.
I have to say, I'm a lot more concerned about the influence of the one concerned really less than anything to do with immigration. I was wondering if you have a view on 1% tax and or issues surrounding buying up property everywhere.
Yeah. So it's all the issues that come off of that, isn't it? I don't have anything against billionaires, and if you're a billionaire, brilliant, well done you. I've got a background in housing and homelessness, so I care about housing. And there are, like you quite rightly identified, lots of second homes that aren't lived in, that are empty most of the time. The budget that they released, Jeremy Hunt's lovely budget, promoted that sort of it promoted second homes, it promoted that picture. So if we're just talking about, because of tax, I'd rather talk about the budget rather than what increasing tax. But we could, I'm not opposed to taxing the rich more, but we do need to release some housing because we have got a housing shortage. So we've got like hundreds of people on our in temporary accommodation in this county, and we've got 10,000 people on the housing register. So we need houses. We just need them. That's because of immigration, surely. No, it's just bad distribution of stock.
Well, the demographics in Shepton Mallet has changed in the last 6 months. Now, these people are coming across and they've been given accommodation.
Yeah.
Now, I know people that are trying to get rental accommodation in Shepton Mallet. They stand no chance at all because these corporations, they offer the landlords so much money to take in migrants.
Yeah.
If they turn it down, they're pushing the local people out of the housing market.
I'll just come back to my point where I myself have a lot of questions over the decisions we make. I have a lot of questions myself over the decisions. I'm part of the solution, not part of the problem, but we do have a problem. We have an inequality. Without a doubt, we have inequality in our society, and we have a problem with housing. We need more housing, and we need affordable housing. Housing is now unaffordable. It's unaffordable for young people. Rental prices have gone up, mortgage prices have gone up, and it is unaffordable.
It's affordable in the social housing, then. So should we be building more social housing?
Well, we made an amazing decision, didn't we? Sell off all our
Should they be building more?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, Andrew Lee just released a as housing issue, like we have enough houses across the country, it's just the way they're being distributed.
And a good example was in Florida, Wells, which I know it's like a tiny community, next minute. What the hell is that?
Yes.
So what person was that? The problem is, so they're going to box saying we have lots of house building,
Yeah.
percentages of social housing in that development are just pointless. Just totally irrelevant, and price of that houses that would sell are not first proposed to be set forward by us.
450, 500,000 so value. Why would you want to?
None of this house building is ticking any of the boxes, and even if they were profit type houses that the builders were building for profit, at least maybe first time buyers or second time buyers.
But we
When
do.
they come to the market at £500,000.
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
It doesn't affect the problem that we've got with social housing in any way, shape or form.
It doesn't, and we gave, as a government, we gave all of our stock to housing associations. And I've worked for a housing association, I know how they work. The CEO of Astor gets £300,000 a year. So it's not a business, they have adopted a business model where they want their business to thrive.
That's got to change.
But it's a housing association, and their primary mandate is to provide affordable housing.
So it's a housing association private,
It's charities.
charity.
Yeah, very profitable charity.
Very profitable. They've got a lot of money out of
Yeah, but they're not going to apply.
What's that?
You get to apply. When you get 600 or 1,000 homes, you should apply, should be given a stipulation that, oh, by the 30% is got to be
So
affordable. But that's not happening, that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
You go give a hut.
Exactly.
And is that not down to local authorities, local government as well?
You've nailed it. It's exactly down to Parliament. So these decisions that we see that affect our daily life come from Parliament. They come from Parliament and how we make our decisions in Parliament. And when I look at Parliament, I just see them at war, and I know they're not making good decisions. So we have to get, the same as with town council, it's exactly the same model as the town council. First of all, we have to get a Parliament that's talking respectfully to each other. That's the very first step before we do anything else, before we talk about immigration or housing or policing or NHS, all of these big topics, they are all really important. But the first thing we need to do is have a respectful Parliament.
Ambitious. How is that, so if you are elected, how is that sort of, how do you try
How
to
can I
change
do
it?
it?
Yeah.
This is the next, that's the next best question. If I get elected, I'll be the first female independent ever elected to Parliament. That's a big deal. That is going to shock the whole system. They will be like, what are you doing here? And I'll say, well, I drawn up 22,000 people. How did you get here? And they got here because they were moved by a political party, they went through their normal processes. So it shocks the whole system because it shouldn't be there. And if they don't sit up and listen to me and to you effectively, because this is a message that we are sending to Parliament, a very clear message, they will lose their seats in the next general election. And I actually think many of them will lose them in this general election because people are already starting to reject party politics. Did you read it first?
No, well, yeah, I just, sorry, I might like to just. Oh, that's the point now. It's about the point is that when you get elected and you get the chance to speak this there, there's been sort of people that have seen this, a lady called Caroline Noakes, I think she's a Conservative lady, she spoke about beauty salons, which is my industry, you know, in COVID times, and you know, and sort of really for the cause of, you know, what we were going to do with our businesses when all the men and that were there, they weren't even interested. You know, it's a massive, massive industry that you know, that feeds many children, the kind of work that I do. And you know, very often, you know, you see them, they're all sat there asleep, and if they're not asleep, they're fighting with each other, and then you find, you know, a bright beam, someone like Caroline Noakes, or somebody like Abby, that goes in and they make their points, and if you get more people in making their points, then we are starting to win. And you might say, you know, that's just all very fancy called, you know, thinking like that, but I think that we've just come to a point now where we can't carry on as we are.
So true. I think sometimes things have to get so bad before something else can happen. And I think we are point. I feel like we are at a point where things are so bad at the time. And also, if I didn't do it, who was going to do it? I didn't see anyone else doing it, anything else like this. So who was going to do it? But if I open that door, can you imagine what would happen across the country? Can you imagine? So when I released that video today, and what we connected with a lot of other independents across the country, one very wealthy one is Surrey, who he's running as an independent himself, and he has said he will give all of his salary back into his community. And they are connecting with me today, saying, "Oh my gosh, Abby, you are inspiring us, all of us as independents running across the country." And these are high-profile figures running in their constituencies as independents. So I'm already doing it. I'm already inspiring many people across the country. So we're already breaking down that down. And once we've broken it down, our options are endless, because then we have a whole diverse, massive opportunity to elect a lot of different types of politicians. You don't have to be stuck at one, oh, you're in the Liberal Democrats, or you're in the Labour Party, or you're in the Conservative Party, and you've been to this, you have this education, you've opened it up to everybody. You could run in the next general election. That'd be lovely. I'll hand the baton to you. Yeah.
So you've got lots of independents.
Yeah.
They're all at big disadvantage from the political, financial machinery of the party can spend more money than an individual independent candidate. How do you beat that? A large scale.
I like to think of everything as an advantage, not a disadvantage. So me not being in a political party is a massive advantage, because I don't want to be in one, because I think they're really destructive. It is what you're saying. So we have a core team of about 6 people who've been working on this campaign for a year and a half, and no one is getting paid. I'm not getting paid, Jake's not getting paid, Keith's not getting paid, Dad's not getting paid, none of us getting paid. So, but if you believe in something, it's a bit like any voluntary work you might do. You know, you want to go on the road, just you don't get paid to do it. So if you believe in something, people will galvanise themselves around you with their skill sets to support you. That's what I believe is happening. But also people donate money as well. But it's not money that's compromised. So the thing with the political parties is, major ones, is they have big donors, big lobby donors, and they control what the party do, and they control the legislation that they make actually. And it is very damaging. It's very damaging.
Well,
yeah.
So I guess like where I'm coming from was, if a political opponent decides to run a lot of adverts on social media against you, you have no ability to match that.
I can't match it with money.
And then there's a statistical kind of figure that they can work out how much people want to spend.
Yeah, that's one issue that I've been faced with. Another is they won't let me on any media platform, any national media platforms. The BBC excluded me from the hustings last week. I just got excluded. Even though I've done more work than any of the other candidates put together, they still excluded me. But then what happened was the people from that Wales and Hills wrote an overwhelming amount of correspondence with BBC to say that they wouldn't be there. So that's the power of the people, because they changed the decision of the BBC. And then they had to invite me 24 hours later, because they didn't want to. Yeah, I was there. So that's the power of the people, and people forget that. People have power.
And if you weren't invited, you're still going to go and stand outside and be there.
And maybe that they were afraid of that too. And not only that, when I went in there and I met with the other candidates, they were so supportive of me. So I had the Reform candidate who was standing for head of ministry. The BBC, or it was all Conservative. Who knows? I don't know what the relationships are with the BBC and Conservative. I have my questions now. But David was like, all this, and I was like, oh my gosh, David, thank you. He's like the Reform candidate. And then I had Joe, and he was like, yeah, I did the same. And then I had Meg Powell-Chandler from it, and she was like, Abby, your campaign is off the scale. This is Meg Powell-Chandler, our Conservative candidate, who has a background in media in London. She was saying my campaign was unbelievable. She said, I was at Collect Update. I said, oh, how were you there? I was like, why didn't you go and say hi? And she was like, well, I had my 4-year-old and my 16-month-old, and they didn't actually see you, but your presence was everywhere. And I was like, well, thanks very much. Like, it meant a lot that she said that.
Go back to what this chap was saying.
Yeah.
It's going to be valid actually, is that, an independent is just essentially one person, unless you all back together and become some other.
But you take the people with you. You take the people with you. So this isn't about me as an independent. This is about us as a collective. This is about me connecting with Blagden and Burrington and Churchill and Langford and Bramwell and Winscombe and Yatton and Calverham and East Hampshire and Brentnall and Chiltern Holden. I've been to all those places. I know all those people. And they want to come on this journey with me because they believe in it. So it's not about me. It's not about me versus you. It's about you with me. And this is what we're going to do over here. It's collective all the time.
You won't be the only independent woman there, because now the Conservative Party and the Muslims have fallen out slightly. There's a lot of women and men from Muslim community standing as independents, sort of. But
They've lost the way.
they will end up with one huge, great block vote, which a political party, people not going to like this, are too scared to attack, so you won't be independent. There's going to be a power in there which will influence all politics.
Are you talking about people who have stood with the party and now have lost the way?
They're standing independent. It's quite funny because the Labour Party and the Muslim vote have kind of fallen out over something or another.
Are you talking about the Labour candidate who's now running as an
No, it's happening more elsewhere, not around here. Here's in
It's more than
Yes, the more independent. They're standing as independents. So actually, you're going to have a vast number of independents that are aligned together.
Yeah. What I would say about that as a general narrative and about me as an independent is I am an independent because I'm independent of everybody else. So me as an independent will be different from the next independent, from the next independent. People have a different language and a different way of working. Some of these independents are going in with a different goal. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going into Parliament. So all the time, I also say is make sure you know who your candidate is that you're voting for, whether they are Labour, whether they are Green, Independent, Conservative, whatever. Just make sure you know who the person is that you're voting for. Because so often we vote for a party or a party leader. Actually, you should be voting for the person. Because it is that person who represents you. This is the gentleman person.
There's a lot of talk at the moment with all the disenfranchised people not wanting to vote back, which could be a hung parliament.
Yeah.
And in a hung parliament, as an independent, you're becoming much more important than in a parliament where one party has got the majority. So if it was hung,
Yes.
would that affect where you stand? Because you wouldn't totally be able to be independent, because you would be asked to align with one of the other parties so that they get the majority.
No, nothing will affect where I stand. I will always stay independent. I will never join a political party. I can absolutely guarantee you that. That is my definite 100% commitment. I will never join a political party. My goal is always to unite the parties. It's because I don't think any of that language is helpful.
I didn't say join the party, I meant the fact that when there is a vote,
Yeah.
you're in Parliament, and if it's a home Parliament, and they're scraping for that one vote that might do it.
But before we vote, I want us to debate healthily.
Yeah.
So let's do this bit first.
But would you find yourself in a different position to the?
No, my position won't change. So my position all the time will be like, these are behaviours are not appropriate, and this is how we need to function as a parliament. And they will listen, because they will get in the next election if they don't. And they know it. They know it. There's already a view. In fact, it was so weird at the BBC at Hustings last week because they had this item where they were like, people are now have lost all faith in the political parties and they're starting to reject them. And he put this question out to the room, and I was like, you're not asking me that question. As an independent, it would make sense, wouldn't it? But they didn't, because they're not there yet. They're a bit slow. They're both the BBC and the parties themselves. They don't realise what's well, but it's going to be very different. This election is going to be really interesting. Julie.
Yeah, but you talk about the fact that it's going to be a big disruptor, and I just need that explained to me a bit more, because I can't quite catch up with kind of, you've got the main political parties on one side or the other, and then one individual. And it's not that I don't believe in the power of the individual. I'm trying to understand how that's a threat.
I'm not there to be a threat. I'm there to collaborate and unite with Parliament. I'm not a threat to anybody. They will perceive me.
But to be a disruptor, you need to be a threat, don't you?
Yeah, they will perceive me that way because it will be so unprecedented. Because I will have broken a system that has been established for hundreds of years. So no female independent has ever been elected to Parliament. Certainly not an unknown person. Unknown. Like Rory Stewart has just, like I said, endorsed this. Meg Chandler as a candidate. So I don't even factor into anyone's thinking. So if I was to get elected, they would be asking a lot of questions around that. It's only ever happened in the last 70 years twice by two men, Martin Bell, who was a war correspondent, and he went in on the back of a scandal around the sitting MP, and they removed all of the other political parties in that election to ensure that he won, and Richard Taylor, who went in on the ticket to save the hospital. So we're talking about a really unprecedented thing that we're doing here. Completely unprecedented. Did that finish up the question though? Was there another bit to that question?
Well, I was against sitting in Parliament, so for me,
Me neither.
but so I still can't quite understand how, people will.
Well, let's see what happens.
Be shocked. That's
Let's see what happens. I don't know either. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know the impact that we have in Shepton Mallet Town Council, and I can foresee what kind of impact this will have in Parliament.
I think, Julia, it's just the fact that she will go, I don't know how many times she even has to go, but surely she's just going to turn up and speak at herself and speak the truth and speak what she's hearing from our, Yeah. Richard, did you have your hand up?
Yes, sorry.
Did you want your hand up as well? Did you say Did you want to say anything? Yeah, this is me and my husband talk about this all the time. Obviously, I would do much better in a proportional representation. I might actually get a seat. First past the post is very elitist. It's very elitist, isn't it? And I think a lot of people feel underrepresented. Like not even, they don't feel represented because we are in this system where we are only voting. The whole narrative around it is really divisive, isn't it? And I think at some point we probably should look at the way that we elect. I obviously can't do that at the moment because this is the system I'm in, so I will work within the system I'm in. But yeah, I do think fundamentally we need to. Yeah.
Well, just on the point of information, it's a two-stage process. So the first process is that the king, which is the king, has to invite somebody to form a government.
Yes, you
Now,
might invite me.
all the people go around trying to cajole people to align with them, and you're very clear that you won't align with anybody. So that's the first stage, that's the king's job. He has to invite somebody to form a government. Having formed a government, they then always run the risk that they're going to get defeated in one vote. And what you're saying is you'll never commit to how you will vote until you have a sensible debate about that. Is that not the situation?
Yeah, we need to talk about. We can't just say, right, this is the legislation that's going through, quickly make a decision and not go to the left or the right. Like, we have to debate it. This is really, legislation is so important, it's what governs our country. So we need to get it right.
And the other thing, our gentleman over here raised about, now it is true, that the record number of candidates standing this year, I don't know about how many actual independents are standing. I know that the Muslim vote is an issue in central Bristol, where a standing MP, and you know the name better than I do, is under threat because...
Oh, not from an independent, from Caledonian, I think.
Yes, because the Muslim vote is switching to Greens. That's why I think you know the name better than I do.
Well, I have a problem with all of this language because it's like voting from Green to this to this. Like you just talk about
I know. It's exactly my point.
for a person. This is funny. This is
exactly my point. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It really is. Gentleman who recommended me next. I was the gentleman who went as well.
I still like the gentleman really said, there's going to come a time, even as an independent, it's going to be, you have to vote one way or the other. Because when it's a hand pan, you're going to have Tories making a call and the Labour's going to make a call. And if you get elected as an independent, let's say, and just to say, they're totally against any ideas put forward by the Conservatives. But you've got, it's going to fall on your shoulders. Do you go with the people who set them on? Or do you follow it? And everybody, I know you're not part of any independent party, But everybody has a political view.
Let
whether
me
it's right
explain
or
how,
left.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Let me explain how it works then. So in Shepton Mallet Town Council, we have an item that comes onto the table. And previously, they would have fought over it and not made any decision, and all the 106 money would have been that. Now what happens in Shepton Mallet Town Council is an item comes on the table, whatever it is, and somebody is like, oh, what about this? And somebody else, we have debate. What about this? What about that? Oh, never thought about that. That actually sounds good. Okay, let's make this amendment, let's do this. And then now what happens is we have that healthy process. Now what happens is 90% of the time, 90% of the councillors vote in the same way. Whereas that wouldn't have happened before. So that is why that debate is so important, because diversity of view is good. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. We don't want a minority, we don't want a majority seat in Parliament, because actually we're just shoving through legislation from one side of it. If you've got the healthy debate where you're taking in all aspects, you actually come out with a better decision at the end of it. So I can't tell you how I vote, because I need to have, first of all, we need to know what the thing is, then we need to have a healthy debate, and then we need to vote on it. But we miss out on it. We have always missed out that little bit. Always. It's never happened.
I think what a lot of people will be interested in, depending on who gets voted in, as to how they're going to put right what's going wrong with this country. Like the health system, the dentists and what have you. How are they going to fund that? Because up to now, they're not funding them. A lot of people are missing out on this.
Yes. Again, we just need to go back to having a healthy parliament where there's debating and talking about these things like adults and children, and then we can make good decisions for the future. We need to look at the budget and make sure we've got it set right. We need to get rid of all that waste that we're just wasting on ridiculous items. We need to respect each other in Parliament. We will actually make far better decisions moving forward if we clean up our act.
Yeah, but when you made your decisions, how are you going to fund them?
Let's look at the budget. First of all, we raise £1 trillion.
We all know the prices have got to go up to fund these things.
We raise £1 trillion in tax every year. I don't even know how many years that is, but it's a lot. So we're using it somewhere, you know. And we are a country that can actually do anything at once. We rolled out a vaccine in less than a year, and we're a world leader in it. We are a country that can do whatever it wants. So any decisions in that provision of service is a decision that we are making.
Well, they haven't succeeded up to now.
No, I agree.
They keep putting taxes up and everything, but the services are getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
So we're not getting value for money. Not getting value for money.
I think we get that's good.
So the ultimate problem,
Yes.
climate change.
Yeah.
Do you think the political system can move and become more effective to solve it by the time
We end the world? I hope so. That's it too late. Yes, exactly. The world recovers itself all the time. We need to act fast. This is why I'm here. This is why I get my job. This is why I'm doing this.
It's come together.
There's nothing we can do about climate change in this country. Even if we went to net zero, we make 0.01%. Now, China's turning out a power station every week. India's doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
No one says a thing. If we started walking around using bicycles and horses and cars, we would make no difference at all. So us getting ourselves knickers in a twist over it is irrelevant.
So you've raised 2 points there. The first is net zero. That's the term that's been hijacked. We now manipulate our own terminology. So we say, oh, that means our net zero obligation, we tick that box. But we're just tricking ourselves, we're fooling ourselves. We're not actually making decisions in Parliament that meets that target why it was originally set in the first place. So we're just fooling ourselves in terms of that. The second point about the 0.1%, whatever you said, of our energy.
Very well.
But we need to lead by example. We are a superpower in this world. We do need to lead by example, so we can lead and we can make decisions and lead by our own
We're not a
narrative.
superpower.
Well,
We're a very small dot hanging off the side.
Really?
The Chinese ignore us, the Americans ignore, everyone ignores us. We're small. We think we had an empire, we aren't anymore. We're small.
I don't even blame them at this stage, would you? I mean, we're not conducting ourselves very well, either domestically or internationally, but it can be different, and it has been different in our history. So we do need to, this is another reason why we need to sort out our parliament though, so we're actually respected worldwide again. I mean, I can't disagree.
As soon as we, the way things are set up, whoever party, we vote in a dictatorship every 4 years. Now, the Conservatives done what they like, Labour's going to win this election, they'll do whatever they like, completely out. And the same, it's basically the same party, just different noises.
Yeah, I mean,
We're irrelevant.
we could all take that attitude and just be like, what's the point? But I don't look at life like that. And I don't look at this election like that, and I don't look at this seat like that. So, and if collectively we all start looking at things differently, we could actually make a difference.
We're going to have the lowest turnout in an election probably ever seen.
Let's see.
Because most people,
Let's see.
no one cares anymore because no one listens to us. You know, no one cares. It doesn't matter which party gets in, or even if an independent party, no one listens to us. We are irrelevant.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, when everything else collapses, surely it would just be the independents that are left, like people like you.
Let's see what happens.
Looking at turnout, how many young people have you spoken to when you're looking, and like how do you plan to turn out young?
How do you define young?
Well,
No, okay. Under 35, under 30, under 25, under 30. Yeah, okay.
We've got 7 children between us, and I think one of them is interested in politics.
How old?
Between 36 down to 80.
Yeah.
The rest of them are just like, what good use can I make?
You mentioned
At least 2.
It's 4%. No, their attitude is very much.
It's really off-putting though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's one
yeah,
thing.
it's
It's
a
so
lot
off-putting.
of change.
Yeah.
Person and just won't engage.
They are. Yeah, absolutely. I really love working young people, 18-year-olds especially, because I get really excited. I'm like, it's your first election, and they're like, is it? Yes, it is. I'm like, make sure you register today, get some information for you, check out your candidates. That's good. We don't teach it. Why don't we teach it in school? Do we? I never taught it. As an A level?
No, but it was a bit part of your.
GCSE. Well, lady.
Yeah, going along that sort of line of people going. So I have been neighbour for sort of half my life.
Yeah.
I've always, when it comes to the general election, I always started with one of the sort of big 3, because I have found sometimes if I go for the smaller parties who are independent, my vote is likely to get lost. It's not going to make an impact. You know, having lived in Shepton now for over 10 years, I'm very independent-minded, and I've seen a lot of influence that's been, you know, work that's been done in the town. So I see a lot of benefit for those independents in the town.
You're worried?
What could be almost upset to try and convince me that.
So I'm worried about automatically voting in some way, you mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a few things that feed into that. So one is the polls. The polls are terrible for democracy because they feed you this narrative that it should go hopeless, that it should go like that. Because if you, for example, I don't know what the situation is, but if you go on the narrative that you wanted to get the Conservatives out, the polls and the Liberal Democrats will tell you that you need to vote for them, otherwise that won't happen. And that's not healthy democracy. That's not good. You're not voting where you want to vote. There is a problem going back to the first past the post system and proportional representation. All I can say to you in relation to that is I have done 22,000 people. I know what people are saying, and what people are saying to me this time. People in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I have voted Conservative my whole life, but this time I won't. And thousands of people said that to me. But where are they? Where are they? Because they won't vote Liberal Democrat and they won't vote Labour. So I say to all of these people, here's my leaflet. It's an option for you. And they say, yes, it is actually. It is an option for you. So that's been my experience. We've drawn up 22,500 people. I've obviously also drawn up younger voters, Labour voters, Liberal Democrat voters. Most people are saying that they do not believe in political parties any longer. They don't want to vote for they're looking to put their vote elsewhere. This election is going to be different. It's going to be different. I think you can vote where you want to this time. There was a lot of hands I went up for.
Yeah. This lady.
Do you think that 16-year-olds should have their vote?
This is a good
Do
question.
you, and there's a sort of follow-up to that as well. Do you think that we should have a civic duty? I think some countries like Australia, the Europe, no one even.
Yeah, Australia is compulsory. I think actually independence should be compulsory. I think we should just empower people all the time. So be like, people want to vote rather than they have to vote. In terms of 16-year-olds, I'm not opposed to it, but I want to talk in schools. I want people to talk about it in schools. I want to see our education system. And then when you're 16, you're informed, aren't you? You can make an informed decision. I'm not opposed to it.
If you can't get 18-year-olds to get involved, how are you going to get 16-year-olds?
Well, this
Here's one behind you. I'm not 16. An 18-year-old.
This is the start of something new. After this election, this is the start of something new. So we need to stop looking in the past now and how things have always been. We're looking forward. This is how it's going to be. Julia.
I really like what you're saying about a healthy debate, and there's no argument there that's got to be the way to go in Parliament. How are we going to do it?
Don't worry about that. It's for me to worry about.
But it isn't though. It isn't, because that's the backbone of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so it's for all of us to be concerned about.
Yeah. Honestly, it would be. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. And if I thought about that too much, I myself would get overwhelmed. I just know that I can represent you effectively and authentically, and I believe in what I'm saying to you. And then we have to wait and see about the rest of it. There is a leap of faith that I have to take in myself, and that you will have to take in me. And I can't get away from that. There's nothing we can do to get away from that. It is a leap of faith, but we are talking about something that's happening.
So government doesn't move particularly quickly when it does work.
Yeah.
And we've globally not been able to keep up with the rate of change in technology. We're very reactive to whatever has happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
As technology continues to increase in pace, how do you think government can effectively do, but even beyond that?
But it's the most important thing, Andrew. Because if say you've got a problem, say you and me are building over here, right? And this is what we have to do, this is the task. And you're undermining everything I say, and I'm undermining everything you say. How much of that wall is going to get through? Nothing. Zero. That's what's happening in our Parliament. So when people say this to me, like, oh, when you done all that, nicey stuff, yeah, but actually that's the most significant part, because until we sort that part out, we can't talk about technology, we can't talk about climate change, we can't talk about any of these other things. We have to be speaking respectfully and collaboratively in government, in Parliament, before we do anything else. Because everything else is completely overwhelming, and we're not going to address everything, and we don't address everything, and that's what we see. That is why young people don't like to watch, that's why they don't like to vote, because what is there to look at? What is to inspire them? What can they feel hopeful about? Just a load of boring, middle-aged, white politicians. It's a nightmare. Yeah. And they've got to be very politically,
yes. Well, we have kids that I'm
but you're very,
my son told me that he can't vote because of the way that it's, because it means that stand ourselves. And I'm like, that's ridiculous, right? Go and get your own education, you should have it. Just to be there. It's quite right that there is no way for him to find like base level politics, because it's not school anymore, you know. But then how on earth could you implement that under government in school? Because it would be heavily biased towards whichever his party is
yeah, I think it just comes back to again that healthy debate, like where we're actually encouraging an environment across everything really, but certainly we need my example of Parliament. It's not everything else is a mess, it's look at the centre of it. So if we sorted that bit out and people looked at it and felt pride instead of embarrassment, we would actually do a lot better everywhere. Well, I am also very, so I am three things. I am a real vote. I'm a real vote. If I get elected, I will be a good MP. I will be authentic representation for you as a constituency. So I'm a real option for you. I'm also a strategic option because I've drawn up 22,000 people, and also my message speaks to every kind of voter. I don't think anyone else can claim that. But I'm also a protest vote because if I get elected, it will upset everybody. Everybody.
Change the subject totally.
Okay.
What's your, two of the parties are kicking to get back in the EU or make closer ties with them. What's your view upon that?
Well, so the vote for Brexit was in 2016. Can you believe it? So it's 8 years ago. I'm not going to make any waves about having conversations to rejoin the EU, but what is absolutely essential that we must do is rebuild our relationships with Europe, which are not great, are they? So we have, whatever we do next, we have to rebuild our relationships within Europe. We are in Europe. We are in Europe.
The trouble is we're getting dragged into European type wars, which are actually, Ukraine has nothing to do with us at all. We're pouring billions into it.
I have a lot of questions around that too.
Billions been pouring into it. It's nothing to do with us at all.
It's interesting, isn't it? So why do we make that decision?
Well, when people make bombs, they could be dropped.
So something's going on there, isn't it, that we make those
We make bombs.
Industrial, military,
We
industrial
make
complex.
bombs in this country.
Simple.
So we're selling them.
Yeah.
Or giving them, to be perfectly frank. Our own military is in a terrible state, a horrendous state, and we're all our good stuff, our tanks and that have been sent across for the Russians to destroy.
Yeah.
We've got hardly anything left in this country. We've given it all away.
Can I just say as well that back to that you know, about voting, and you know, it's obviously having the debates that we've all come here because we're all watching that. Yeah.
You're the only person that most of us have actually met who's willing to actually even kindly listen to what we say. Our politicians of all parties are so separate from, we only see them once every 4 years.
They're actually
They disappear.
They're afraid of the public. So we've got up this narrative where there is a divide between our MPs and our public. But actually we should be working together. Like you voted them in, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Rees Mogg, he's very approachable.
Because there's so many homeless people in basically Collett Park. I've had 4 men living at my house because I found one pensioner sleeping in a park. The council would do nothing because other people are prioritised. And I went to see Mr. Mogg, and he's the only person that helped me house these people.
Yeah.
I had to have them in my own house. It's not on. One guy had Parkinson's and they left him in the park. They gave him a rough sleeper certificate and a tent. And he'd been paying tax in our country for 45 years.
I've worked in homelessness. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've worked in homelessness. I set up a homeless project in France. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But we've still got the problem.
Yeah, I still know. But all I can say to you is I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But I'm just interested to know that we respond to farmers' concerns because we've got over the community, and especially the seasons that we're having at the moment. Farmers are crystal ball, everything.
Yeah, especially
They just do
here.
not realise it. They just got, and of course, we've always got a couple of seasons
Yeah.
with farming produce. When you respond to issues that farmers have,
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Like we are.
Because I know many farmers that are on the brink of just stopping.
Yeah.
And of course, the knock-on effect of farmers stopping producing is pretty much.
Look at where we live. So we're in the Wells Mental Hills. We've got a lot of agriculture. We've got a lot of farmers. We've got a lot of farming lands. So the answer is yes. I'm definitely going to help the farmers. We are an important part of our food sustainability and production for the future. We are an important part. Huge. I've done not many farmers. I've been to see farmers in their land. I have talked with farmers. I have put any kind of policy around it. I'm very supportive of farmers. Yes, I respond to everything. I don't know how to ignore a problem. I only go into it.
They face different problems,
Yes, but we, and again, there's some legislation that we're putting in that they have to diversify out their land. So we need to use the right land for the right purpose, don't we? And they are the experts. I'm not the expert in farming. I've never been a farmer. But they are, and they know what they need, and they know what they need to do. So yes, the answer is yes. Of course I will work with farmers.
sure it's a major part of your constituency.
Yeah, massive, huge. And I've already made connections with, the Wildlife Trust and, the Mendip Landscape Trust. So I'm already connected with all of the right organisations, and I am connected with them as well. Yes.
You actually have one more question to make, but we did talk on the concepts, like, was actually, I'm not really good at thinking on the spot.
No, that's fine, you're here.
Okay, very well. I was just going to ask, I watched the Black Southwest Network's hustings for the new police crime commissioner. And I was quite pleased actually that the woman who got in, because she was the only person in the room who actually listened to me and responded to those presents. And I was just wondering whether in your police background you have a particular interest in working with her in terms of police relationships with certain demographics, because I do have black and mixed race people who have similar familial and social and educational backgrounds to me, who have been stopped and searched hundreds of times. Literally, I mean, it's off the charts, and I just wondered whether you have passion for that.
Yeah, I would definitely work with police. I don't actually agree with it as a role, I don't think it should be politicised, but I will work with police and crime commissioner. Definitely. Yeah, and I think there is a lot of things that we're getting wrong.
And apparently they don't look into burglaries anymore, and I found who it was and they still didn't do it.
Yeah, there's something going really
What is that about?
It's for a council tax, give that, that's a chunk of that. It's not policing, it's just.
What I would say to you is, both people and everybody, is that I am on your side. I'm doing this with you and for you. I'm not going to disappear after I've been elected. I'm going to continue connecting with you. Everything about me wants to work with you and those people in the park. And
Just go back to the collective and to represent us.
in the middle.
Alternates.
Did you be in the opposition?
I'm just going to sit and you decide.
Can you, as in, can you
What
set
are
it
they
aside?
going to do with me? What can they do with me?
I don't know, because usually the government is on one side, everyone else is on the opposition. So does that mean if we, lovely, but does that mean if we vote for you and you get in, we have to accept that our MP is a member of the opposition rather than the governing party?
We need to get out of that building. That's my personal opinion. It's falling down, it's going to billions to repair and decades to rebuild. We actually need to purpose-built public building somewhere else. I hope that I won't be there for my whole 5 years. We're going to move out, exactly, and go somewhere else. It doesn't aid good politics, that building. It's very divisive in the way that it's set up. Even the team.
You will.
To give me, they won't know how to handle me. They're not set up.